Hey everyone!
Hi guys.
Okay, so this is going to be a really hard video for us to do.
But we promised we would do it.
Yeah, we promised we would do it. We're going to try not to cry. We're going to try to stay strong, even though sometimes, you know, it's okay to break down. So, where are we on baby journey number 2? We thought it would be super easy getting pregnant again because, you know, we've gotten pregnant before.
And everyone says, oh, don't worry, once you get pregnant, you're fertile. The second one will be so easy.
Yeah, so that ship sailed for us, and we know that getting pregnant naturally, even with baby number 2, is not going to happen. We're not those cases where it's like, you know, she did IVF the first time.
It just happened.
Or like, she did IVF the first time, and then it was a surprise the second time. No. So, Anie and I, after our summer vacation together, it was around July.
Yeah.
We had told ourselves, okay, we're gonna wait until July, and then we're gonna go in for another round to get pregnant with baby number 2. We both started that journey, and we faced a lot of hurdles. I'll talk about my hurdles. Anie will talk about her hurdles, and we'll tell you guys where we are currently. So for me, I started in August. So basically after we came back, I prepared myself and I went in to do a transfer, to prepare for a transfer because I had eggs frozen from the last time. So I had 3 eggs frozen and I was gonna transfer 2 of them. And I started the medication. I started not the progesterone. I started the estrogen and the dexamethasone, which is a steroid that I have to be on. And as I was gearing up for the transfer, I ended up ovulating. So that ended up canceling. And I had to do it all over again the following month. So you don't get your period for a while. So I had to wait. So another fast forward, and I feel like months just like...
They just go by.
They fly by when you're trying to get pregnant. So fast forward 2 months. I did my transfer and I did get pregnant. My levels were really low again, but that's something that's like very common with my body. Even with Aya, my levels were really low. So we were just watching it, and we saw when I went in for my first ultrasound, we saw a sac. Really happy. Yeah. But I always say wait for your excitement until you hear the heartbeat, because both times when I've been pregnant, it's the heartbeat appointment that kills me because there's no heartbeat. And I said I'm not gonna cry.
It's okay to cry.
Okay. So I went in for my heartbeat appointment and there was no heartbeat. And of course they're like, oh, you know, this is normal. And I look at the doctor. This was another doctor doing it that day, and I'm like, she's like, a lot of times it's the following week. I'm like, I know there's not gonna be a heartbeat, but again, you hold your hopes up for a week. And then I went in there and there was no heartbeat. So we had to do DNC to take the baby out. And then I started with so then I lost my eggs, obviously. I had 1, but it was a 3-day. And usually for a 3-day transfer frozen, they don't recommend just putting in 1. So we're like, okay, we'll start a fresh transfer, a fresh cycle. I started... Last week, I started my chart. I got my period, and I was like, I go into the doctor, and he's like, all right, this is your calendar. Everything looks good. And it was, because it's a fresh transfer, so it was going to be, my retrieval was going to be next week. So it's really quick, like 10 days of shots, retrieval, 3 days later, they put the embryos in, and you have a baby or you don't. So I was like, oh my God, was I prepared for this? I just had a miscarriage. Like, I was like losing my mind. I was like really concerned. I'm like, I don't know if I'm mentally ready for this. We're back to this again. Fun times. So as sad as this is, I have a box of all IVF stuff. And it's like all the medication I need to take, and I put it away, I bring it out, put it away, bring it out, and it's back out again. So I carry like my needles in there and all that good stuff. And yeah, gonna get my first injection today. Thank God I have this guy who knows what he's doing, or else it was gonna be me attempting to figure out all of this. Somehow you forget, even though I've done it how many million times now. It's the first day shots. all went so quickly. I got my period, I went to the doctor, and I thought it was gonna be in like a few weeks. I don't know why. And he's like, yeah, you're starting shots tonight, and we're doing a retrieval next week. And I'm like, whoa. And mine is a fresh transfer, so that means they're gonna transfer the embryo 3 days later. So it might be the best birthday gift ever.
I hope so.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I reached the point of, like, I'm so over it. I'm just so over it. Like, the first time it was different because we didn't have a baby, and it was just, like, that race to get pregnant, and that, like, I just wanted the baby so bad. Now that I have a baby and everyone said, oh, it's gonna be so easy the second time, I'm like, am I really dealing with this shit again? Like, sorry, but it's like, really, again? So I went in there last week. I just left my doctor's appointment, and it was the first appointment ever since I started doing the shots. And basically they were gonna see if my eggs are growing, how fast they're growing, how many are growing. And unfortunately, I had 7 follicles, I think they call them, and only 4 are growing, so that's not good. And we now have to wait until Monday to see if the other 3 are growing at all, or they're just like dead. And at that point, we need to make the decision if we're gonna move forward with a retrieval and a transfer, or if we're just gonna abort this cycle and start over again next month. Because, you know, I'm paying a lot of money, and if I'm only, like, they are gonna retrieve 4 eggs and then they have to fertilize. So usually when you're like taking out eggs, it's like they get, like, my last cycle was like 13 of them, and then I was left with 6 after they fertilized. So if they take out 4, I'm gonna be left with like none maybe, and it's a lot of money on the line, and I don't want to take that chance. So I'm feeling really shitty right now. We'll see what happens. And I was starting with around 7 follicles, which is not good usually. My last time, I always produced like around 13. During my retrievals, it was around 13. So he's like, it's okay as long as all 7 of them grow. I went for my appointment yesterday, and only 4 of them are growing. So I had to basically cancel this cycle as well. So now I have to wait for my period to start again, and so I could start a whole cycle again. In the meantime, it literally happened yesterday. So I'm just taking vitamins, eating super healthy, working out, trying to follow a strict diet, eating a lot of omegas, leafy greens, vegetables, nuts. So kind of help my quality of my eggs and the quantity of my eggs. And hopefully next month I'll be able to have more eggs. My doctor said that since I haven't been stimulated for 2 years now, he doesn't know if this is my new normal, because I am older, so he doesn't know if this is my new normal or if it was just an off month. So he has no data to go off of, so I'm hoping this month is just like a weird month. I started it off weird.
You have this like intuition about your own body, and you yourself were like, I just feel like it's an off month for me. Like, yeah. You said it yourself.
I was like weird going into it, going to the appointment. I talked to my husband when I got my period. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready. I literally had a miscarriage in December. It's February, like beginning of February. I'm like, I don't know if I'm mentally ready to start this again, because you know what it is when I say mentally ready? I don't know if I'm mentally ready for another disappointment. And sure as shit, I got another disappointment. So it's set me back mentally, emotionally, and in every way possible. Where are you at, Anie?
So I started at the same time as Nora. So we got back from our summer vacation in July, and the next month I went in to do IVF. I had a frozen egg in storage, so we implanted that, and I got a call saying that I was pregnant, but my levels were really, really, really low, and to be
cautiously optimistic.
very cautiously optimistic. So I got the news that I got a positive pregnancy test, but my levels were really, really low. My HCG came back at a 34, and it should be a lot higher. Just in comparison, when I found out I was pregnant with Sebastian, my level was at a 400, and I know that it always varies, but it is really, really low. So I'm gonna have to keep going back every 2 days to get my levels checked to see if the pregnancy is gonna stay valid or not, which is very nerve-wracking process. I had to wait a week. I went back a week later and it was like barely inching higher, and I was like, okay, I just felt like something was wrong. Like I was in physical pain. I kept going back every 2 days. My levels were barely going up, and then all of a sudden, one afternoon, I start bleeding. And so I called the doctor and they're like, sometimes it's implantation bleeding. And I was like, this is not implantation bleeding. I know that there is something wrong. The next day, my husband came home from work and I was literally in the fetal position on the floor in so much pain, so much pain, and it was only on one side. And my son was playing around me. He thought I was just kind of playing with him, and I was like, I'm telling you, something is wrong. Like this, it's not right. So I called the doctor again, and at that point they put me on additional medication, on shots. Okay, it's 8 a.m. in the morning. I had some light bleeding yesterday, so I had to go back to the doctor today to do some more blood work, and the doctors officially put me on progesterone shots, which are no fun at all, but we gotta do what you gotta do. I finally got all my medication. These are all my needles and everything that I need to do, and I need to be on these injections twice a day, which is definitely not fun in addition to all the meds, but that's what we have to do to save the baby. Then that's what we have to do. So I'm in bed. My levels went back up after the progesterone shots, but I'm still continuing to bleed, and I had such severe pain on my left side that I considered just going straight to the emergency room. So it's 8 o'clock at night now. Pain is a little bit better, but I have to go see the doctor first thing in the morning to find out if the egg implanted outside of my uterus, so in the fallopian tube. It's called like an ectopic pregnancy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, which is like super rare. It literally only happens to 2% of people. And my doctor is concerned that it's happening to me. If that is the case, then we need to abort the pregnancy, and that's done taking some crazy pill. So because if I don't abort it, it could rupture in my fallopian tubes, and it could be a life-threatening problem. So hoping everything's okay tomorrow. I started researching online, and I had a feeling that I was having an ectopic pregnancy. I called the doctor again, and they're like, the chances of having an ectopic pregnancy, an ectopic is when the egg implants in your fallopian tube. They're like, the chances of that happening with IVF is less than 1%. He's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've only ever had one other case of an ectopic. I highly doubt it's ectopic. I called Nora. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's an ectopic pregnancy. I'm like, I know my body. I can feel it. I'm in so much pain. So that was over the weekend. I started bleeding Saturday. I was on shots, and then Sunday, and then Monday came, and I went in for an ultrasound, and they're like, well, we don't see the sac in your uterus, so it may be a little bit early. You have to come back in a few days. Between that and when I went back on like a Wednesday, I was literally in so much pain. One day, I had come to work and I couldn't get out of my car, and Nora had to basically like carry me out of the car.
She would get these like shooting pains that would last about 15 to 20 minutes, and she couldn't move.
I couldn't breathe.
And she would be like crawled up in a fetal position, and we had to wait for it to pass before she could start moving again. And this unfortunately lasted for like 3 weeks because... You want to go into the rest? Sorry, I'm like so angry. I'm saying your story.
It was really painful. It lasted a long time. So I went in afterward and they're like, we don't see the sac, but your levels are going up. That means it did implant in your fallopian tube. So I had to have this injection called the methotrexate shot. It's kind of like a chemo shot too, and it completely depletes your body of what's the one vitamin, is it? Folic acid.
Oh, folic acid.
The shot completely depletes your body of folic acid so that it can't maintain the pregnancy. I got the first shot, and the shot comes with, again, a lot of pain. But this time, at least, because we knew that the baby wasn't going to be viable, they gave me pain medication. So I got the first shot. I was dead in pain all night long. Didn't work. A few days later, I had to go back for a second shot. Second shot didn't work. The baby was still growing. Had to go back for a third shot. And they told me, you're going to have to come back for a fourth one. And at this point, between now and the fourth one, they had to wait a certain amount of time.
It's been 3 weeks at this point.
3 weeks of pain.
She's literally either in bed crying because of the pain or coming to work and not being able to move for like a certain period of time. And every night they would call me and say, hey Nora, in case we need to go to the hospital, can you come over to watch Sebastian while we go to the hospital? Because she was just like, she knew something, it wasn't working, the medication.
They told me if the pain gets even more extreme, then that means that I have to go to the ER, because that means there's going to be a rupture in my fallopian tube and I could literally bleed to death if that happens. So I'm in bed one night, and I remember it was Labor Day. I'll never forget. It was Labor Day. It was a Sunday night. It was Monday night. And I told Nora, I said, something's not right. I just feel like I have to go to the emergency room. Then I messaged her half an hour later. I said, I took some pain medicine. I'm going to try to go to sleep. And it was like 1 a.m. I could not move. I couldn't breathe. It was the worst I've ever felt. And all of a sudden, it was just gushing blood. Like, I could not move. And my husband had to literally carry me and put me in the car. And then Nora came to watch Sebastian while we went to ER. And I had to have emergency surgery to remove my fallopian tube. And they told me it's a good thing I came when I did, because my entire uterus was full of blood and I could have bled to death. So...
And it could have messed up your ovaries, and they would have to remove your ovaries as well. And then you would lose the chance to even have another baby.
Luckily, I have a really good OB, and he was able to save my ovary. So they took the baby, they took my fallopian tube, and now every month when I ovulate, it's like intense pain. Like my ovaries are like, where's the fallopian tube? What's happening? So now I have a C-section scar, 3 different scars from having my ectopic fallopian tube removed. I'm just a mess. So they told me I have to wait 3 months because of the methotrexate shots. I've waited 3 months, and I went to the doctor this week, and I found out that I may not be able to this month either.
You have to start a fresh cycle again, because she used her last
I used
embryo.
all my eggs, so I have to start fresh all over again, and this month I may not be able to. It's been 3 months since my ectopic pregnancy. My folic acid levels are finally back to normal, and I went to the doctor to see about starting IVF again, and I found out that I have an endometrial cyst, which means that it's a large enough cyst that it may be a problem, and 5 of my eggs are hiding behind the cyst. So now I need to be on birth control for 10 days and go back to do another ultrasound to see if it's going to be possible for them to reach those eggs that are hiding. So yay, another bump in the road. So apparently I have this type of cyst that has been around since last month. They were hoping it was going to go away, and 5 out of 7 of my eggs are hiding behind this cyst. Like, what are you scared of? Why are you hiding? So now I have to be on birth control for 10 more days and then go back to see if the cyst went away, if the eggs moved, if the eggs grew, and just what the hell is happening in my reproductive system. That's what I have to go back and figure out. So it's not easy. It really sucks. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be strong. And
It's okay to talk to people.
It's okay to talk to people. So many people and so many of you guys come up to us and say that you've never talked to anyone about it. And, we're so happy that you connect with us, and us sharing our stories helps you guys feel better about what you're going through. But it really does help to talk to anyone.
Because women, genetically, we feel better when we're talking to people. Yeah. So if I didn't have anyone to talk to, if I didn't have Anie to talk to, I don't know what I would do. Because, obviously I talked to Jonathan, but it's men are different. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. We cope in different ways. Women feel better when they talk, and having a girlfriend to talk to is super important. And even honestly, when I'm saying girlfriend, I mean us too. I actually ran into one of you guys at the fertility doctor. And you came up to me, the person came up to me and said, "Thank you so much. The only people that know are my mom and my dad. I mean, my mom and my husband. And the closest other people around me don't know because I don't want to be judged." And that's why we're speaking out, because so many people go through it and they go through it alone, and it's not okay. 100% of you guys that have emailed us, we've emailed you guys back, and we've been there with your journey. We get all sorts of messages, and honestly, we're here for you guys if you're going through it. Whether it's an IVF cycle, whether it's a miscarriage, because people don't talk about miscarriages either, and it's pretty common.
Or ectopic.
So we just want to let you guys know where we're at now. First of all, we're saying it so we won't get the question of when's baby number 2 coming, because that started in the family. Because everyone assumes just because you have one baby, oh, baby number 2 is a breeze. Where's baby number 2? The best is when they're like, don't wait for that big age gap between the two. You want them to be close. Thank you. We know.
Just don't make those comments to other women. Period.
Yeah. So, and if you guys need anyone to talk to, we are here for you. Message us on Instagram, leave us comments below, DM us if you don't feel comfortable publicly leaving comments. We get back to everyone because it's a tough subject and we don't want you guys to go through it alone. That's where we're at, Jack.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully we'll have better news next
Yeah, the next video of an update better be us showing off our bump.